Chapter
Can you just
20.
say the first names of everybody? Hi, this is Diane, and we're here with the Fearless Online Mompreneurs. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about moving forward in our lives and what's holding you back. What's holding you back in your life? What's bothering you? Let's get rid of all that and let's have success in all our lives today. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. And we have with us, there's Jody, there's Paula, there's Rachel, there's Sharon, and I'm Diane Klein as well. Sorry, ladies, I don't remember your last names. But anyways, who's starting to read this morning?
I can start.
Are we
Go
live?
ahead, Jody.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
All right. So this is principle number 30 on page 244 for those who are following along. We're reading Jack Canfield's Success Principles right now, which you can get a copy of this at Amazon or get with the person who invited you here, and we'll make sure that we steer you in the right direction on how to get this book. So principle 30 is face what isn't working. Facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. Aldous Huxley, visionary writer. Our lives improve only when we take chances, and the first and most difficult risk we can take is to be honest with ourselves. LTER Anderson, editor, Parade magazine. If you're going to become more successful, you have to get out of denial and face what isn't working in your life. Do you defend, or ignore how hostile and toxic your work environment is? Do you make excuses for your bad marriage? Are you in denial about your lack of energy, your excess weight, your ill health, or your level of physical fitness? Are you failing to acknowledge that sales have been on a consistent downward trend for the last 3 months? Are you putting off confronting an employee who is not delivering at an acceptable standard of performance? Successful people face these circumstances squarely. Heed the warning signs and take appropriate action, no matter how uncomfortable or challenging it might be. Remember the yellow alerts. Remember the yellow alerts I mentioned when I taught you about E plus R equals O in Principle 1, taking 100% responsibility for your life? Yellow alerts are all those little signals you get that something's not right. Your teen comes home late from school again. Strange notices show up in the company mail. The odd comments from a friend or neighbor. Sometimes we choose to acknowledge these alerts and take action, but more often than not, we simply choose to ignore them. We pretend not to notice that something's amiss. To face what's not working in your life usually means you're going to have to do something uncomfortable. It means you might have to exercise more self-discipline, confront somebody, risk not being liked, ask for what you want, demand respect instead of settling for an abusive relationship, or maybe even quit your job. But because you don't want to do these uncomfortable things, you'll often defend tolerating a situation that doesn't work. What does denial look like? Though the bad situations in our lives can be uncomfortable, embarrassing, and painful, we often live with them, or worse, hide them behind myths, widely accepted views, and platitudes. We don't even realize we are in denial. We use phrases such as these. It's just what guys do. You can't control teenagers these days. He's just venting his frustrations. It's got nothing to do with me. I keep my nose clean. It's none of my business. It's not my place to say. I don't want to rock the boat. Don't make waves. There's nothing I can do about it. Don't wash your dirty linen in public. Credit card debt like this is normal. That doesn't happen to people like us. I'll get fired if I say anything. Mom's church friends check on her. Luckily, it's only marijuana. She's just at the age. I need these to help me relax. I have to work these long hours to get ahead. We just have to wait it out. I'm sure he is going to pay it back. Occasionally, we'll even make up reasons why something that is not working is working, not realizing that if we just acknowledge the bad situation sooner, it would often be less painful to resolve. It would be cheaper, the circumstances might be more beneficial, the problems would be easier to solve, we could be more honest with everyone concerned, we would feel better about ourselves, and we would certainly have more integrity. But we have to get past our denial. Successful people, on the other hand, are more committed to finding out why things are going wrong and fixing them than they are to defending their own position or maintaining their ignorance. In business, they look at the hard truth in real numbers rather than recalculating the numbers to look good to the stockholders. They want to know why someone didn't use their product or service, why the ad campaign didn't work, or why expenditures are unusually high. They are rational and in touch with reality. They are willing to look at what is and deal with it rather than hide and deny it. Does someone else want to pick up there?
I can pick up.
Oh, go ahead, Paula.
Okay. Doing more of what doesn't work won't make it work any better. Charles J. Gibbons, real estate investment strategist and author of Wealth Without Risk. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. A big part of getting out of denial is to get good at recognizing bad situations and then deciding to do something about them. It always amazes me how difficult recognition and decision is for most people, even when it comes to alcoholism and drug addiction. With many addicts, their marriages fail, their businesses fail, they lose their house, and even end up on Skid Row before they realize their addiction is not working for them. Fortunately, most of our problems are less severe than drugs, but that doesn't make the recognition or decision any easier. Take your job, for instance. Are you in denial about what you really like to be doing, what you would really like to be doing? Worse yet, do you constantly remark on how happy and fulfilled you are when you're not? Are you living a lie? Workaholics are a perfect example of this kind of denial. A high-pressure schedule can't possibly work long-term for anyone, but most workaholics will defend it with comments such as, "I'm making great money. This is how I support my family. It's how I get ahead, and I have to do it to compete at the office." As we've explored already, defending and justifying a bad situation is really just a form of denial. Denial is based on fear. Often, denial is based on the notion that something even worse will happen once we stop denying and take action. In other words, we're afraid to face facts squarely. Many a therapist can tell you that, in spite of overwhelming clues that their spouse is having an affair, many patients won't confront their spouse over it. They simply don't want to face the fact that the marriage might be over. What are some of the situations you are afraid to deal with? Your teenager who is smoking or doing drugs? A supervisor who leaves early but dumps his or her late projects on you? A business partner who doesn't participate fully or spends too much? Your house payment or expenses that are becoming unmanageable? Your aging parents who need full-time care? Your health that is becoming a problem because of poor nutrition or lifestyle? A spouse who is withdrawn, disrespectful, or abusive? Not enough time for yourself and your children? Though many of the situations above require drastic changes in how you live, work, and relate to others, remember that the solution to these problems isn't always to quit your job, get a divorce, fire the employee, or ground your teenager. It may be more productive to choose less extreme alternatives such as a discussion with your boss, marriage counseling, setting boundaries with your teens and siblings, scaling back your expenditures, and seeking competent professional help. Of course, these less drastic solutions still require you to face your fears and take action. But you have to face what isn't working first. The good news is that the more you face uncomfortable situations, the better you get at it. When you face just one thing that isn't working, the next time you have the slightest inkling, you are more likely to take action immediately. Diane?
Sure, I can read now. Take action now. Make a list of what isn't working in your life. Start with the 7 major areas where you would normally set goals: financial, career, or business, free time or family time, health and appearance, relationships, personal growth, and finally, making a difference. Ask your staff, family, friends, class, group, coach, or team what they believe is not working. Ask, what's not working? How can we improve it? What requests can I make? What do you need from me? How can I help you? What do we need to do? What action steps can we take to get each of these situations to work the way we would like? Do you need to talk to someone? Call a repair person. Ask someone for help. Learn a new skill. Find a new resource. Read a book. Call an expert. Make a plan to fix it. Choose one action and do it. Then keep taking another action and another action until you get the situation resolved. Should we read a few more minutes and then discuss it?
Sure. That sounds good to me.
Okay. Embrace change. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the failure. John F. Kennedy. Change is inevitable. At this very moment, for instance, your body and cells are changing. The earth is changing, the economy, technology, how we do business, even how we communicate is changing. And though you can resist that change and potentially be swept away by it, you can also choose to cooperate with it, adapt to it, and benefit from it. Grow or die. In 1970, florists' telegraph delivery, known today as FTD, was founded by 15 American florists who began using the telegraph to exchange orders and deliver flowers to customers, loved ones, thousands of miles away. Gone were the days when a daughter or sister would go to the local florist and order a small bouquet. Family members were relocated to cities and towns far from home, and FTD flourished by identifying this trend and combining it with the telegraph, which represented a change in the way we communicate. Around the same time, the American railroad industry began to see the automobile and the airplane as new technologies, designed to transport people and goods from place to place. But, unlike other industries, we readily embraced these new machines. The railroad industry resisted, believing instead that they were in the railroad business, not the business of transporting goods and people. They didn't realize what they were up against. They didn't grow. Though businesses focusing on the railroads might have become automobile and aircraft businesses, they didn't. As a result, they almost died out. Where do you need to grow? When change happens, you can either cooperate with it and learn how to benefit from it, or you can resist it and eventually get run over by it. It's your choice. When you embrace change wholeheartedly as an inevitable part of life, looking for ways to use new changes to make your life richer, easier, and more fulfilling, your life will work much better. You will experience change as an opportunity for growth and new experience. A few years ago, I was hired to consult with the Naval Sea System Command in Washington, D.C. They had just announced they were moving the entire command to San Diego, California, which meant that a lot of civil service jobs were going to be lost in that transition. My job was to conduct a seminar for all the non-military personnel who would not be moving to California. And though the Naval Sea Systems Command had offered everyone jobs and transfers to San Diego, including reimbursement of all moving expenses, our assistance in locating a new job in the Washington, D.C. area, many of the employees had become almost frozen with fear and resentment. Though nearly all of them looked at this change as a major disaster in their lives, I encouraged them to look at it as an opportunity, as something new. I taught them about E plus R equals 0, and how, although the move to San Diego, E, was inevitable, their outcome, whether or not they flourished afterward, O, was entirely dependent on the response, R, to the situation. Perhaps you'll find a more empowering job in DC, I said, or even get a job with better pay. Or maybe you would like to move to California where it's warm most of the year and new friends and adventures are awaiting you. Slowly they begin to move their panic and fear to realizing that things could indeed work out, even for the better. If only they embrace this change as an opportunity to create something new and better. Okay, I think we should discuss it now.
All right. I'm just going back to the pages here to see what we first. You know, that denial, that's what we were discussing first, face what isn't working. We all go through this. We all don't see those little signs that tell us that, you know, maybe this isn't working. And I've often said this in the last couple of weeks, you know, letting go isn't the same as giving up. And sometimes those things in your life that just are not working, or it's hostile, or it's toxic, those are signs that, those yellow alerts, that you do need to face what really isn't working and then move on. Just as he said, the E plus the R equals your outcome. And right now we're going through, in BC, we're going through a teacher's strike right now. And a lot of the teachers are, you know, they're upset and they're not, you know, realizing what the outcome is right now and the reasons that they're doing it. Parents are getting upset because their kids aren't being allowed to go to school. And if they had faced this, what the teachers union had wanted a couple years ago, they wouldn't be having this type of outcome today. So a lot of people just kind of, they pushed it back and back and back, and no decisions were made, and then finally we're now into a strike. So there's things that you can't control, but you definitely can control your reaction to them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and were you done?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm going to talk about the situation of the addictions part, because that's what we have been through. And if we would have sat on it and we would have just stuck with the addictions, because of course we were in denial for a long time. I was in denial with my whole family. I kept telling them, no, he's not a drunk. No, we're fine. No, we've got everything we need in our lives. Financially,
Wow.
we're doing great, you know. So, and that was such a denial. And until we realized that, no, this is not working, no, we're going downhill. And until my husband did realize, okay, I'm hitting rock bottom. And we needed to find the change. And we needed to find the courage to say, okay, we can do this. That's when we started embracing, and that's when our lives started to change, as soon as we started facing it and admitting it.
Right.
And something else I'll share is I had come to the situation where it wasn't me as a spouse saying, okay, this has to change. It had to be his idea. It was not my idea, because my idea was never working before. He had to know. He had to decide. So there was a place where I had to back off and say, okay, I have to let him know that he needs to change. But our lives had totally changed 6 years ago, and it's just an amazing, it's like doing a, what is it called, a 60-40 turn?
Yeah.
90-degree angle turn, or whatever you call it. But yeah, you do have to face change, and you do have to embrace it, and you have to know how to respond to it, because if you respond to it badly, we would have sat back and felt sorry for ourselves for losing everything. Where would we be? But we did. We got up, we shook ourselves up, and we said, let's start all over.
Yeah. And, you know, I was in this situation with my ex-husband as well, that I realized, just like you said, Diane, they have to realize that there's a change there. And without the change in our marriage, I had to take the step of making the change what was best for me and my kids at the time. So sometimes those making change, you know, you can't change another person. How I wish we could. But, you know, you can change how you react to it. You are capable of taking a stand and either, you know, and we went through couples counseling and stuff, and even after several months of that, there still wasn't any change. So I had to make the decision that this was my time to move on. And just like you said, too, in the next chapter, where, you know, your denial is based on fear. Because I had lots of people saying, you know, our relationship wasn't working and he was never there for my kids and stuff. And just like you said, I made excuses all the time. Every time we'd go to a social function, it would just be me and the kids. I made excuses for that. Every time after we broke up that he didn't show up to pick up the kids, I made excuses for him. And it was a pattern that continued for even a couple years after. And then finally you just get to a point where, you know, you're done either covering for yourself or covering for that other person, and you really do face your fears head on. What is the issue? And allow yourself to let go of the fear, let go of the anger, let go of the disappointment, and you start making your own decisions and choices. Take the action, right?
Absolutely, take action. I love how he said that, though. Take action and start with one thing at a time. You don't have to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. I wanted to come out and say that wow, I'm really inspired by your story, Diane, and yours too, Jody. And it took great courage and everything to come out of step out because that's not comfortable letting others know what's going on. So in order to heal, you need to step out of your comfort zone. And I just want to say I'm very, very proud of you ladies for doing just that. Um, Now, as far as me stepping out of my comfort zone, as we are going through and changing the direction or understanding how to grow our businesses, we are doing things in, at the training and everything to do that. And Lucky and I talked last night, and we came up with a plan that we want to do to move to the next level. And it's going to be awesome because he said, I see what you're doing. I see what we are doing, and I see what direction we'll be going in. And he said, I see us achieving everything that we want, desire, and need. And to me, that was very, very powerful. So I'm looking forward to stepping out of our comfort zone and taking our business to the next level.
Absolutely, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Did anybody else want to share? Well, if not, I think we should talk a bit about the part where we were talking and reading about embracing change. And I love the points that he makes here about how life is changing all around us. So we have to start adapting to that kind of change. Because let's face it, the technology these days is changing everything around us. And the way we communicate with each other is changing as well. So if we don't embrace what's happening around us, we're just going to be left behind. Like something that I was thinking of as I was reading about this is my kids in school are learning so much about computers. I have to keep up with them and with the knowledge there if I want to grow and grow in my business. So the story where they were talking about the railroad and they weren't growing and they were almost died. That's so true of so many businesses out there. Whereas the flying and the transportation, the automobile industry was just thriving. Why? Because they were focusing on growing and they were focusing on embracing the change. And it's so true in all of our lives. If we don't embrace the change that's happening around us, we'll just sit back and die. We can't keep up if we don't embrace the change around us.
Yeah, I love that, what he said too, that grow or die. Because if you're not moving forward, you're not growing, and eventually what you have will wilt. And I agree with you, Diane. Kids in school, they know so much. And my kids, even last year, they were both into the DSI, you know, the handheld little computers that they had that replaced like the small pocket video games. And here I was struggling with, because last year I knew I should do YouTube, but I sat on it for a year in fear of what people would think about me, if they would comment on, my facial bruising and things like that. And here's my kids with these little DSIs making videos and posting it to each other. And I'm like, how are you doing that? What are you doing? Show me. Because the kids don't have any fear. They're moving ahead with, all this new stuff in technology and in your business and stuff. And if you're not growing daily in your business, then you will eventually die out in your business. You will eventually go, why am I even doing this? And you will quit. Okay? That is why they say 92% of marketers fail, is because they aren't consistent. And they might be consistent, but Diane and I, we mark down every day what we've actually done. Because, if you do have a bad day, we were talking about this actually yesterday, I'm like, I just felt like I didn't do much last week. But then when I looked at my book and what I had actually done, I did get stuff done. And we celebrated that and then moved on from there, realizing that we are putting one foot forward. It might be slow, but we're moving our business forward together.
Absolutely.
And they say slow and steady wins the race. So once you know that you need to change directions and you start going in that different direction, you must never ever quit, because just because it's not working now does not mean what you're doing is not going to work. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to be persistent, consistent. You have to work hard. You have to do your research. Everybody that says that, you buy my program, you're going to make $1 million. They don't tell you about all the work and the learning curve in the background. Because if you don't put your heart and soul into it, you're not going to achieve the goals and dreams you want. The biggest thing is you need to know your why. Your why will help you determine how much effort you're going to put into achieving your dreams and goals. And you need to repeat your why every day. You need to write it every day. And once you start doing that and getting it consistently in front, you will go after it. And another thing to help is you need to have your vision board. You need to be able to visualize everything that you want. And once you do that, you have made your mind up that, hey, I am not going to quit. I want that. I'm going to go after it. So you need to stay focused. You need to change your mindset. You need to educate yourself in order to go after your dreams and your goals.
Absolutely. I so agree with you, Sharon. And once you start focusing on that and you focus on that growing part, your creativity just flourishes it. Like you just start getting all these great ideas, and your business is showing for it, and you are growing. If you grow yourself, that's what they say, you have to grow yourself, and that's when your business is going to start growing as well.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%.
And I just want to put one other thing to it too. Put some love. you know, Everything that you have at your disposal and everything that you desire and your reasons why. And when you're in that feeling of you're absolutely love doing what you're supposed to do, you will become the hare. You will become the person that all of a sudden you'll be able to leap over all those boulders in your way or mountains in your way or even cross oceans. Because when you put that magical ingredient called love and inspired action, wow, then nothing can really, really stop you at that point.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share with you, ladies, I actually started this week my gratitude journal, so that's definitely something we should all do, is have a gratitude journal.
hmm Did you want to say anything there, Paula? You've been awfully quiet.
No, I'm just sitting, taking back in all the nuggets. I agree with everything you ladies have said on the panel today. Um, if we don't embrace change again, like you ladies have said, then we will be left behind. And if we're not growing, we are absolutely dying, and that's just a fact.
Hmm. And there's so many people who are just willing to stand there and be wilted flowers, and not even acknowledge that there's sunshine all around them, and that there's water, and that there's growth. Absolutely.
And scared to step out of their comfort zone.
Oh no, I'm never scared.
Gets easier
Not.
once you start.
All right, I think we're at the end of the hour. Do you want to end it, Diane?
Sure, I can end it. I would like to say thank you to all you viewers out there and the people that are watching this, even on the replay. And the encouragement today that we want to offer you is that if you find that you're stuck in a place where you can't get out, start small. Take little steps, take baby steps first, and find one thing and work on that, and then move to the next one. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to feel scared. You don't have to do everything at once, because it doesn't work that way. We all have to start small, and that's how we get big. And I would also like to encourage you to embrace the change around you and be encouraged by it, because your creativeness inside of you just flourishes it. If you go with the flow, and if you feel good about what you're doing and you love what you're doing, like Jody said, then you know what? You will grow and like bounds of energy. So that's what we want to leave you with today. We would like to encourage you to embrace the change and love what you're doing, and just step out there and get out of your comfort zone. Thank you for watching with us, and we will see you at the same time tomorrow at the same place.